Alright, hello everybody, and welcome. So, to quickly explain why there have not been a lot of videos on the channel, I went to PAX over the last weekend, and I got sick whenever I came back, and my throat has been very sore since then, so talking is not exactly the best thing for a sore throat. So hopefully that explains what's been up with that, and we can just get into this breakdown so that we can go through it all, because this is a video that needs to happen, and like extra things like the builds videos and stuff are going to be waiting until after I get better. So I'm going to try not to cough during this video, but I apologize if I do. But first and foremost, let's talk about the Devstream, because, we have to break this down. So we have UI 2.0. A lot of this stuff was shown on Steve's Twitter. With like the new login screen, new upgrade screen that has vertical scrolling, as opposed to the abysmal horizontal scrolling that I've gotten very used to. I'll be happy to get used to the right way to scroll instead. And then that applies to the inventory as well. And for those of you that are, like me, wondering if everything is going to be black and gold for the rest of all time, nope, it's going to be customizable. And also here's another video test. So this stuff is going to be all customizable and changeable whenever they do it. And overall, on Twitter, Steve clarified that a couple of these are some older concepts that would definitely need to be cleaned up. In particular, it was said that this upgrades screen is the one that really needs to be cleaned up a lot, and I definitely agree with that, because it's kind of like a mess in terms of just everything being everywhere, and it kind of does the opposite of what they said their goal was, which is to make it like understandable but still deep. So I expect the upgrade screen to not really look much like that, but kind of just the overall feel and the vertical scrolling to be intact. But the login screen, which is the newest concept, does look really cool. So I'm very excited for this. I think it'll be a nice refresh to the game, and hopefully we won't lose any functionality doing this. In fact, based on what they said, we're going to be strictly gaining functionality specifically for people who are on PS4 and anyone who uses a controller on PC. So basically, with the new UI, they're going to be building in better controller support so that you have more consistency and don't have to switch back to mouse and keyboard to do certain things on PC. And on PS4, you're going to be able to use mouse and keyboard. So for me, that incentivizes me personally to do a free-to-play on the PS4, which would be a little bit different than what I've done in the past. So whenever they get that stuff in, I think that's going to be something that I'm definitely going to want to do at some point. So if you're a PS4 player, look out for that, as obviously that'll be a little bit different because the trading economy is definitely not the same over on PS4 and all that business. Anyway, besides UI 2.0, which I find very interesting personally, there was Pets 2.0 that was talked about, and this is basically MOAs and then some changes to older things. So first I've got listed acquisition changes, which is kill dogs, get dogs. That's how it is right now, and there is kind of the disconnect with people who like pets that don't want to have to kill dogs in order to get their own dog, because that's kind of a weird thing. So talked about changing that, and also changes to stasis to probably make stasis less cancer, and that would be very nice. I would appreciate it if I did not have to. Well, I guess this doesn't really matter because dogs and cats are kind of completely useless and you don't need to switch them that much. But that being said, if they were useful, switching them through the freezer all the time would be incredibly annoying. And with that, them not being useful, there was no mention of UNIVAC or vacuum on either just the MOA or just the UNIVAC in general being added to the game, which means I still kind of just don't care, and this isn't something that's going to impact me at all whenever I play. So until such a time as UNIVAC happens or vacuum is added to MOAs, then I kind of just don't care about Pets 2.0, as it doesn't really matter until that happens, because it means that I don't get to use cute dogs if I want the game to be more fun. Anyway, moving on, more vehicle stuff. They showed a big, slow, kind of test vehicle thing that is apparently going to be used on Venus. It seemed kind of interesting. They said the top speed was kind of low, so I have some hope that it will be useful. But it might just be kind of like one of those one-off gimmick things, like the flight-capable vehicles that I don't remember the name of that are on the planes at current, which are kind of just for fun, silly stuff, and that's fine. It's cool that they're kind of expanding what kind of things are controllable in the game, and that's fun. And could be used for some unique mechanics if you need to hijack a vehicle to get inside this area or do things like that, which I think would be cool. Besides that, they showed the Vauban Deluxe weapon. It is an axe that like folds out and then like sprouts all its spikes and things like that. It looks really, really cool, and is probably going to be the part of that deluxe bundle I will use the most, if I'm being completely honest, as this is hopefully usable on like all heavy blades. But yeah, that looks super awesome. I can't wait for that. Obviously, the Vauban Deluxe looks great as well, but for me personally, I think Vauban is aging like milk at current, especially with raids being gone. So he might need to be touched up before I'd really get a lot of use out of his deluxe skin. Moving on, we have scythes. So some changes to scythes. They might be getting changed into heavy blades depending on the community reaction to that news, essentially, which would mean they would be getting sized up to like heavy blade size, and they would be using the stances of the heavy blades, which means you would no longer have the sight stances that there are at current. I think this is like a totally reasonable thing to do, as the sight stances suck anyway, and they really do look fine as heavy blades. So if people want big scythes, this is like an easy solution for them to give that to people. I just hope that they can differentiate the stats enough by like maybe making them like a much higher range, like heavy blade than like a lot of the other ones, or something like that with lower damage. Differentiating them enough so that they're unique heavy blades and not just, oh well, I guess they're there, they exist. And then we got to talk about Sanctuary Onslaught. So Sanctuary Onslaught, this is the Void Onslaught thing. They renamed it. It's now tied in with Samaris's business. This is the like arcade mode, which has like a challenge modes for like veteran players and things like that. They talked about being able to collect focus there. And so for collecting focus there, you get a boost that is like an accelerating boost as you go further into it at the start of each wave, which go by pretty quickly. It's meant to be like a shorter mode where you get a focus multiplier for all enemies you kill in that time, and the mode is entirely focused on killing enemies, so there you go. That'll be decent for focus at the very least. But with that, they talked about current focus farms needing to be addressed, and like them being fine for now, but at some point they would need to be like fixed per se. And I think that is a misunderstanding of why there are focus farms. The reason there are focus farms is because you can't get focus passively by playing the game normally. You must do a specific farm, and that's the problem with focus farming, is that you must do a specific farm to hit your cap. They could fix the focus farming problem by simply making it so that you get like 20 times as much focus as you do normally, and like taking out the booster, or just leaving it in. Honestly, I hate the transference boost thing, or whatever it's called, that makes you actually get some kind of halfway reasonable amount of focus for 45 seconds or whatever. But like, there's a million better ways to like think about this, I think, than that being some exploitative farm that people are doing. It's not an exploitative farm, it's a necessary farm for people getting things done, because they have lives and they don't have 5 hours to like grind a survival out without optimizing it to get their focus cap. So I think that's like a misunderstanding on the dev side, and hopefully that gets figured out. So I might have misheard this, but they said it was going to be out next week with Korra, which is kind of cool, as that is like a pretty good run up to that. It'll be interesting to try out. Rewards every 2 waves. Waves seem to be like pretty fast, so that's pretty exciting. More like an excavation type time than anything else, it seemed. So that's neat. And then they showed off Korra and talked about her abilities. And she's got a Phase Lash, which is an AoE whip attack. It seemed okay. It seemed all right. It's going to scale off melee mods, which means it'll probably be doing decent damage at least. Her 2 is literally Inaros' 4, except for a single target, and it doesn't like charge up to give you armor. It just costs energy. And it also boosts the damage of your 1. So this is going to be like an okay CC thing. This is probably going to run into the same exact problem that Inaros' 4 runs into, in that the enemies that you would want to ensnare and like block up a hallway with, those guys are going to be killed by your teammates, and so this ability will probably not get used very much, because the murder part is the thing teammates are usually very focused on. So that kind of low level like spreading CC type thing usually is not very useful, and like we know that just from Inaros being a thing where his 4 is mostly used for its augment and its armor application to him. But that's fine. It's a fine ability. I'm sure it'll be okay and situationally useful. The third ability is the most interesting, which is to summon her cat. And that is going to have 3 modes that are no longer the IPS modes. It has a defense mode, an offense mode, and a healing mode. The defense mode was not sounding very good. The healing mode is going to heal whoever on your team has the lowest HP at the time. Hopefully this can be used to heal like lures and stuff, as that might be interesting, though based on her kit, I don't think she's going to be used for Eidolon farming at all. But one way or another, it seemed okay. Offense mode, they said on stream that's probably the mode that a lot of people are going to sit in for most of the time, and I would probably agree with that. Like, it's very likely that it's just going to be an offense mode all the time. You'll summon the cat and it'll attack enemies. The damage output seemed okay, but would obviously need more testing. And then her 4 is no longer an exalted whip like you would probably expect. It is called the Strangle Dome now, and it basically makes a dome of chains, and if enemies touch them, they get like damage ticks, and also like grabbed and pulled up or down by it, which is not particularly useful. If you went for like a negative range build, I could see that being okay maybe, as the dome would be like a very specific area where enemies could no longer get through, but there are Warframes that do that better, and also your 1 would probably incentivize you to build for higher range, as that is an AoE damage ability that scales off melee mods. So it's hard to say whether or not the Strangle Dome will actually be any good. Out of her entire kit, her 4 is the one that I have like the lowest hopes for, because it just doesn't seem, well, particularly interesting, because it's kind of a really basic CC thing, and it just is not very useful overall. That being said, obviously I will test her whenever she comes out. I expect that she will be at least decent from her 1, 2, and 3. Along with that, we have to talk about some rewards from the Onslaught mode, the Sanctuary Onslaught mode, which are the peculiar mods. So the peculiar mods, they were talked about a long, long time ago. Obviously, some people pulled footage from way back when, like a year ago, PAX East, right before like this one that just happened. And these are basically for fun mods that are completely and totally useless. They are going to do things like put flowers on enemies, like dizzy stars on impact procs, and like a bunch of other things. And they're so for me, I'm never going to use these. Like, I'm not the type of player who's going to sacrifice my build quality to have like a thing go ha when I get a crit. That's like generally just not going to be a thing I'm going to do. But what I would like to see instead of these being mods that you put into your build and they sacrifice your gameplay, would be these just being like an unlockable cosmetic, as them being an unlockable cosmetic, like a new cosmetic slot in like your Warframe area or whatever. That would probably be like really appealing, specifically to me, as like, hey, go do this Onslaught mode, collect all these dope cosmetics, and then maybe still have like a leveling process for them, as they said they're going to be leveled up like regular mods would be. Like having a leveling process for them, but they don't lower your build quality, I think would probably be the better way to go, but it's whatever. Like, they're useless, so it's not going to really affect me one way or another. I just hope that they're not going to clutter the drop tables for the Onslaught mode. Oh, excuse me. For getting Korra for people, so they don't have to like get like a bunch of like useless garbage they don't care about before they get the Warframe they're looking to get. Honestly, like, I don't know. I hope the rewards for Void Onslaught are good, or Sanctuary Onslaught, I guess now. But like, you know, it can it'll go one way or another, right? I'm sure it'll probably be fine. The mode itself looks fun, so at least there's that. Like, the thing that it looks like what I want survival to be, which is kill every dude you see and you will do well. So that's got that at the very least. I just hope the rewards are up to snuff with other things that you would be doing. Anyway, though, I do also have this screenshot that I forgot to click on. That is like this flower power thing, which is the like flowers grow on enemies when you hit them and stuff. Yeah, it's just like silly fun stuff, and like that's okay. It's not like gonna hurt the game by existing or anything like that. But yeah, that is the Devstream. I'm sorry that it is both like longer than it probably should be because I'm sick, and also like my voice is not like super high quality or anything like that. But I hope you enjoyed it. I will get back to making a bunch of new videos as soon as I can, and I will see you guys later.